What's up, guys? It's your boy Rzucek back out with another Chris Watts video, but from one channel that we have not seen in a little bit of time, Real Killers. Now, I appreciate this man because he goes in all hands and feet and does the deepest dive. Plus, I like his intro. His voice is soothing, and just overall, I love his channel. So, uh, hopefully when he watches this, he's like Zogi's kind of going weird. No, I'm just feeling the love, bro. But we're gonna be watching Real Killers, newest video of Chris Watts in HD of family dynamics. I'm interested, and you guys are too, because you guys have been blowing me up, asking me to watch this. But of course, I want him to get his views first, so that's why I waited a couple days so he can get those. But go over to his channel, subscribe, comment, like, and share, and then do the same thing over here by hitting that white bar icon that says subscribe. Hit the bell icon next to it, so when I do post videos like this one, you guys will get that little ring notification that I've posted that video, and then you guys can watch, comment, like, and share. And again, thank you all so very much for the love and support. I know there's been a couple people that have been mentioning that my audio is not as good. It's not as loud. I'm going through all the settings. I'm trying to figure it out. Eventually, we'll be switching rooms here soon. So hopefully, when I switch rooms, the audio will sound a little bit better. But I'm on max settings, so I just want to make that very clear that I don't know why it's not letting me enhance the audio. But eventually, we'll figure it out once we start switching rooms. Without being said, let's get into the video of family. I keep wanting to say financially. Family dynamics. I need to do books on tape.
Welcome back, my friends. Please like and subscribe to support the channel. So I started looking into
This is the town of Frederick? I was saying, this doesn't look like Frederick.
the Watts case a couple of years ago and jumped into just about every rabbit hole you can think of. I've been through every page in the discovery, trying to find something solid that would put NK in that house during the crimes or on that day. I've looked at the neighbor's security footage. The phone pings put her in the general area, but she could have just been driving to work. And there's nothing public
I can prove that she didn't drive just to work.
about September Lady. It's a dead end. The woman seen walking up the residence, but never seen leaving the house. It ends at just neighbor Nate reporting of it, and that's it. I'm also hearing that the security footage of Nate's showing what appeared to be NK standing in the driveway was doctored. So I'm not sure what to think anymore. Maybe you guys can find something I missed, which is why I'm putting the whole discovery up on my channel, so we can all dive in together. I'll read some of the documents in this video. Going into the family dynamics. Discovery page 1397, supplemental report, no property, FPD officer Dave Baumhover, October 7th, 2018, time 10:16, location 333 5th Street, arrestees, suspects. The following information was documented at the time it was gathered. The date of this report is not indicative of when the investigation occurred. On October 2nd, 2018, I received from via fax Sandra, Sandy, and Frank Rzucek typed statements generated by both Frank and Sandy. The first page was a typed statement from Frank which described his perception of how Watts was acting differently during June 21st through June 26th. Sandy's typed statement followed and is a 10-page letter addressed to me. It described how Shanann and C. Watts met in 2009 and a broad overview of their relationship over an approximately 9-year period. The statement also describes some dynamics between Shanann's and C. Watts' family. I scanned both Frank and Sandy's written statements into the digital case file and retained the original copies for the physical case file. I also requested a written statement from Sandy regarding the phone conversation she had with Watts on 8/13/18. That statement is pending. Nothing further. Detective Dave Baumhover. Attention, Dave Baumhover. June 21st through 26th. I noticed Chris was at...
So this one's from Frank Sr.
acting different with the girls. He was yelling at them, raising his voice with them, which made me look at him like, what are you doing? Also, when Shanann would FaceTime him, which she did every day while she was here on vacation, she would ask him if he was going to pay attention to the girls. He was looking like he was looking at something else. When he came here for the last week of vacation, the girls would not go to him, they would go to mommy, and he didn't like that at all, the look on his face like he was mad at them. I went to the beach with them for the first 3 days, and Celeste would say, that's my truck, talking about Papa's truck. He said that I have a truck too. She said, but that's my truck, talking about Papa's. The first night he was strange. He came out and lay on the floor in the living room where I was sleeping on the couch. I was watching TV, and when I shut the TV off, he sat up and I said, what are you doing? He said he had a backache and it would help him. That was strange to me for him to lay on the floor. Thinking about it, he was acting kind of distant because of the girls wanting me more than him.
I mean, I'll sit on the floor and I'll try to crack my back and stuff like that, but man, this guy was just all messed up.
Looked like he didn't care, his mind was somewhere. Frank Rzucek. All the signs were there, but no one ever expects something like this to happen to them. He was part of the family, right? How could anyone expect or prepare for something like this? I've seen so many people comment how they wish they could stop Shanann from going into that house when she did for the last time. I'm sure nobody more than Mrs. Atkinson. Again, no one can ever imagine something like this happening. So what can you do?
The family dynamics. The rumor is that the murders still would have happened. It's just that NK sped up the process. Apparently, between both families, they didn't get along. The Rzuceks and the Watts family, from what we've seen and read, it's upsetting to say the least that families can't come together. But it seemed that one family was just didn't want to have anything with the family and so forth, and it's pretty sad to say that that was a huge contribution to the downfall of the Watts marriage, Chris and Shanann. And he blames it all on everybody but himself. He blames it on his parents. He blames it on Shanann. He blames it on Nichol. I mean, heck, I'm surprised he hasn't blamed on his kids, which I've heard that he's actually done that too. They were too much for him to handle. It's like, dude, get over yourself. If you didn't want to be a father, then you should have never done it to begin with. Some people just can't be parents. And it seemed like that he tried, but failed to succeed because he wanted to start over with a mistress.
I wanted to go into the family dynamics in this video because I asked myself, could this still have happened had he never hooked up with NK?
I think so. It just
In 2009, Shanann built her home in Charlotte, North Carolina, battling her lupus. Her friend told her about her cousin Chris, saying he's a very nice guy, quiet, etc. So Shanann got a friend request from him on Facebook. Months later, she called me saying, Mom, I met a nice guy. He is a mechanic. I said, as long as you're happy and he's good to you. A few months after that, Shanann and Chris had a family gathering, and Frank and I and his parents had a cookout. They were floored when they saw her house. Shanann was a hard worker and wanted this to eventually sell and make a profit to keep doing so, eventually be mortgage free.
I think I like her first house better.
Comes from a family of contractors, so Shanann was eager to please his parents, waiting on them hand and foot. When Shanann left the back porch, and it was just me and Chris's mom, she leaned over to me and said, Shanann was married before? I said, yes, just like your daughter was. Then a while later, again when we were alone, and she said, I just don't see it. I said, what? She said, I don't feel that your daughter loves my son. I knew she was going to be a thorn in that marriage because my mother-in-law was the same way. So every time we had a cookout, his mom and sister were very quiet and distant. We weren't accepted. They made that known. So forward to engagement party. Shanann and I shopped for food, wine, etc. Spent a lot. Jamie, Chris's sister, wanted all the invitations so she could help. So Shanann told me,
Hold up. Was that honey on cheese? I don't know about that one.
All the invitations so she could help. So Shanann told me, Mom, Jamie wants to help send of the invitations. What do you think? Is she accepting me? I'm gonna let her do it. So this mom and sister prepped food and cross-contaminated everything. So Shanann couldn't eat any of it. Gluten-free, nothing. Everything was made with gluten. So thank God I made lots of food I brought. At least my daughter could eat. So as the night went on, Shanann and I went to the bathroom and Shanann told me, Mom, I had like 80 invites and only immediate family came. So Shanann called people the next day to learn that they never received an invite. Shanann was devastated. Shanann and Chris were upset, so they knew not to ask again. Then came the wedding. No one from his whole family came, just his grandmother and uncle.
And yet we're not supposed to say anything because it hurts people's feelings, but they can sure go after other people and hurt their feelings.
No mom, dad, sister, aunts, and cousins. No one came. Chris spoiled Shanann and vice versa. They were so in love. They were a great team. They moved to Colorado and lived with Shanann's friend for a year while they were building their house. Everything was great. Shanann saw something on Chris's private part that didn't look normal. They went to the doctor, cancer, so it was removed.
That's right. Shanann pretty much saved Chris's life.
She saved his life. Then Shanann got pregnant with Bella Marie. Everyone was so excited and happy. Shanann and Chris were wonderful parents. Chris and Shanann were working at the Ford dealership in Longmont. Shanann was selling cars. Chris was the head mechanic. A great team. Shanann was top sales. Then Bella came, so Shanann stopped working because of a high-risk pregnancy. She was a trooper through the whole thing. Both families seemed happy. Chris's sister never flew to Colorado at any time they were out there. Cindy and Ronnie came 2 times a year. Shanann worked at Children's Hospital at nights and also sold 31 bags, travel bags on the side. Everything was good. Shanann got pregnant with Celeste, and pregnancy was really rough on Shanann with her lupus.
But all of this is lies. The haters. Oh my gosh, Shanann didn't have lupus. Shanann was so mean to Chris. Shanann was, oh my gosh, somebody just gets Shanann. She's out of control. Oh my gosh, like what are you on? Put the dang red flag down on Nichol or Shanann and look after Nichol. If these haters would spread the rumors, or not rumors, but the facts about Nichol Kessinger, we could possibly be even a little closer. They're going after the wrong woman.
Very high-risk pregnancy again, but only this one was worse for Shanann. Water weight gain, severe back pain, shortness of breath, pains in her chest, fatigue, exhaustion. My husband and I sold everything but our house and moved out to live with them, to help our daughter in every way we could. Frank and I had to work to pay our bills too. We were there for 15 months. Chris's mom came out to watch the girls for a few days, while Shanann and Chris went on a business trip with Lavelle, her company. 4 nights, 5 days. During that time, we weren't allowed to see our grandchildren or even eat dinner with them as soon as we got home. She brought them upstairs and stayed upstairs. She wouldn't let us hold them or anything. I found that very odd. One day I asked her why. She said, "What the hell am I here for then?" She screamed in my face in front of my grandchildren and said that I was very controlling. I was just like, wow. I texted Shanann over and over again and she said, "Relax, Mom. I'll take care of it when we get home." It was ridiculous. I never spoke to Chris's mom again. I had enough. After 15 months, I moved back home.
You could see the, like, how would you say it? The tension. You could cut it with a knife between Shanann and Cindy.
It was hard to leave, but I felt it was for the best. I have been home now. 17 months later, my whole family is unalived. My beautiful daughter and beautiful grandchildren, all unalived. Everything seemed fine. Our daughter never spoke about anything bad. She did speak to us about bankruptcy, a lot of debt, with all the medical bills. Bella and Celeste were back and forth to doctors, misdiagnosed for 2 years. I told Shanann that they had asthma and that she needed to fire the doctors. One day she went in and the PA was there and she diagnosed them with asthma. Finally, the girls were doing great, other than earplugs put in and girls being very allergic to tree nuts, which would have caused them death. Celeste was born with her esophagus too small. They went in 3 times to enlarge, steroids like crazy to help her breathe for 1.5 years or longer, all until they were diagnosed with asthma. Then Shanann with her next
And this is all Shanann's fault, by the way.
surgery, which out of pocket $25,000 they owed, so that's why they were in so much debt. I noticed that when we would FaceTime every night for 4 years straight, looking back starting late May 2018, when we FaceTime, Chris was putting the phone all over the room, ceiling, floor, etc. I said, Chris, you alright? Then he would FaceTime normally. Before Shanann came to North Carolina, Celeste had a rash in her private area, and she went to get a face cloth and some cream. Chris had the phone. I said, Chris, let me see how bad it is, being that I am an aide. So I said, wait, let me move my screen because I couldn't see. He put it right up on her privates. Oh, I was mad. Shanann wanted to come for 6 weeks this summer so she can introduce the girls to Chris's sister Jamie, who never met Celeste or Uncle Frankie, our son. Before the school year started, dance, classes, etc., the best time was now. We were thrilled. Shanann stayed the week here, then weekends with Chris's parents. The first weekend was great with Chris's dad and family. However, the following weekend was a different story. Saturday was rough for Shanann. She was protecting her children from peanuts in every form. Ice cream, a bowl of nuts, an open razor blades just laying around the house. Shanann called her father. Come pick me up now, please. Shanann said Cindy was trying to give the kids ice cream with peanut chips in it. Shanann asked Cindy what kind of ice cream is that. Cindy said, oh, relax, it's just ice cream. Shanann said, please let me read the ingredients. Cindy told my daughter that she was crazy, so the girls walked outside to play with Aunt Jamie. So after Shanann got done explaining to Cindy how dangerous peanut allergy is to the girls, Cindy ignoring Shanann. Shanann went outside, Jamie walked in, so the girls walked back in, and as Shanann walked in the kitchen, noticed a large bowl of peanuts, now sitting on the table. That wasn't there 2 minutes before. So Shanann called me, explained everything. She said, Mom, I'm being double teamed. And I said, what? She told me everything. But when she told me about the razor blades, I said, what? She changed the subject really quick because my daughter knows I would have been there and caused a big scene. I love my family, protection. I said, Dad's on his way. She got home here and was beside herself. I was furious with her. That someone that you trust would try to get a child sick or die feeding them peanuts? Shanann told 4 people this. Me, Frank, Sandra Garanda, and Nikki. She called Chris that night, and she was so upset. Chris said he will handle it, so Shanann didn't ever go back again to see them. None of Chris's family came to Cece's birthday party, and Cindy sent Cece's package out to Colorado, which is still there in a box at their house. So Shanann and girls and us had a wonderful time the rest of the trip. When Chris came here for his week here and Shanann 6 weeks here, Shanann picked him up at the airport with girls. They were so excited to see their dad that set off the alarm for running up to him. Chris spent the day with his parents and Shanann dropped him off at the nursing home to see his grandma. Shanann and the girls came back here. Chris was acting really weird to Shanann. He didn't have time to really speak to her. Then he was going to stay because we had a storm with no streetlights working. Chris's dad brought him back here to our home. Shanann and Chris spoke on our back porch for a few hours about how he has been and the peanut stuff at his mom's house. Chris was distant to Shanann, okay with girls, with us. Shanann was vomiting all night and Chris didn't get up to see how his wife was doing. They left for Myrtle Beach and Frank went with them for a couple days. Being that it was our granddaughter's first time at the beach, Frank left them. I came a day and a half, the girls and I had a blast. Chris was very quiet, doing his own thing and ignoring Shanann. I said to my daughter, is everything okay? And she said, Chris is going to be Chris. So we were at the beach and we went to dinner and Chris drove Shanann and girls, no rooms, so I drove behind them. I was doing 83 miles an hour to catch up with them. And texting Shanann, why is he driving like that? Tell him to slow down. I am not in a race to go to dinner. At dinner, Chris left the table quite a few times. Very silent. He was ignoring the kids and his wife. Cece was being funny and he walked away again. I left the next day. They came 2 days later. I asked Shanann to stay with girls and she said Chris has good insurance for the girls. They went back to Colorado. I'm devastated. P.S. The only reason Chris got fit was because diabetes runs high in his family and Shanann wanted him to live forever. Sandy Rzucek. When Sandy Rzucek spoke publicly for the first time, saying she loved him like a son. But after hearing what Chris had done, she said that love turned to disbelief and pain. For the Watts family, denial became a coping mechanism. Chris's mother, Cindy, struggled to accept his guilt. In interviews, she insisted she didn't recognize the man the world saw on TV. She said, "I don't think he was capable of it. Something changed him." But for the Rzuceks, that line of thinking felt like betrayal. To them, it was clear their daughter and granddaughters were gone because of one person, Chris. I believe Chris was very capable of doing this regardless of his new girlfriend. There was a big divide in that family. Sandy Rzucek laid it all out in 10 pages. Chris came off quiet, polite, soft-spoken, a man who rarely raised his voice. He worked long shifts at Anadarko, spent his evenings mowing the lawn or playing with his daughters, and seemed like the model husband. Shanann, on the other hand, was the spark, outgoing, driven. So why the hell did he do this? Because behind closed doors, the couple's personalities clashed. Shanann was expressive, organized, and assertive. Chris was quiet, withdrawn, and increasingly distant. Even their friends said their marriage felt imbalanced. Shanann was fighting for connection, Chris was shutting down. You see, as that silence grew, the pressure between them deepened, silently and visibly until it would eventually explode. The infamous Nutgate incident, a moment that to outsiders might sound trivial, became a breaking point between the two families. When Cindy Watts allegedly gave Bella ice cream containing nuts, despite her allergy, Shanann was furious, and Chris's response? Silence. That silence spoke volumes. Shanann felt abandoned. The Rzuceks felt disrespected, and the Watts family felt misunderstood. It was a small argument that revealed a much bigger fracture. Two families with very different ways of expressing love and loyalty. The Watts family dynamic was very different from the Rzuceks. Cindy and Ronnie Watts raised their son to be polite, hardworking, and compliant. To them, Chris had always been easygoing, a boy who avoided conflict. But when Shanann came into his life, things changed. Some relatives felt she took over, managing every detail. To Cindy,
I don't see a problem with that because when you end up with your spouse, you marry them, that's your main family. Yes, it's important to see your parents and so forth, but you do whatever you're supposed to do to protect your husband, your wife, your kids, and so forth, because that is your family.
Shanann's assertive personality felt abrasive, even controlling. In later interviews, Cindy would say she believed her son lost himself in the marriage. Whether or not that's true, those feelings created an emotional divide long before the tragedy occurred. And when it did, those same feelings would color everything that came after.
Real Killers definitely has a way with words. I mean, it's nothing that we learned new, but some people haven't watched all my videos or watched all the videos to show. Some people, I post something, I'm like, wait, you didn't watch my video? And they're like, oh, I didn't know you posted this. Sometimes people can't watch every single video. So it's just kind of nice to make a variety of different stuff when it comes to the Watts case. I definitely do want to get into some other cases, the Summer Wells being one of them. That little girl deserves to be found and the justice and so forth. But definitely put your thoughts down below. Again, Real Killers, if you made it to the end of this video, job well done. You definitely pull at the heartstrings. You definitely make me want to look at other avenues of this case. But again, nothing new has arrived. And it's just frustrating when you're trying to find the answers and you kind of hit with a roadblock. Other than that, don't forget to subscribe, share with your friends. We will see you guys in the next video. Please take care, be safe. As always, keep nerding on, and we will see you guys in the next video.